Are you ready? Are you excited? And remember, it doesn't matter where you go or where you'll be. Just don't forget to bring your tea. And that's total empowerment and anointing. Hello, and welcome to today's show of TTwT Tanya. Again, we're so happy to have you back with us on today. Again, we have coming to you another great, phenomenal entrepreneur here in this great and wonderful city. Today, we are going to share with us Mr. Cedrick Davis. Thank you so much for coming out to be on my show on today. I've been following you and your work for quite some time, and I was just really impressed with what you're doing with your brand, Jesus Unit. And I know you might get a lot of people that look at you and say, like, Jesus Unit, what is that about? What's going on? So we're glad that you came to be on our show to kind of tell our audience on today about your brand, Jesus Unit, and the great things that you're doing as an entrepreneur and what led you here. So again, thank you for coming to share with us on today.
I appreciate you inviting me. I'm glad to be here, first of all. Even your video guy, got a chance to talk to him. We got something in common. We Facebook friends. I didn't even know that. So we got a lot to talk about in the show. But I want to talk about, first of all, about being an entrepreneur. Okay. That's the first thing, about being an entrepreneur. And a lot of people think that it's easy being an entrepreneur, which it really is. It really is easy when you concentrate on what you're doing, when you focus in on what you're doing, when you're constantly gaining every day with momentum. What makes it bad is when people that surround you tell you that you can't do it.
Yes. Or
give you the assumption that it's not possible for you to do that.
Right.
And I got there too. Jesus Unit, to be honest, Jesus Unit, I've been working on Jesus Unit for like 10 years.
Right. And how long have you actually been a full entrepreneur?
I've been out 26 months from prison. Okay. So, of course, people know that follow me, I had a life sentence in prison. Or I did 26 years, 5 months in prison for being in a drug deal that went bad. Some guys came and robbed us for some drugs, and somebody ended up murdered behind it. And so I got a case called, a law in Tennessee for all these young gangsters out here to know. It's a law in Tennessee that's called criminal responsibility of another. That means that even though you didn't pull the trigger, you just responsible when your friend pulled it. So that's a law that is in effect in Tennessee. And I tell young guys all the time, when I meet them, because I'm out all the time in the street. I'm out in my hood, I'm out, people see me, I'm out. And I talk to them all the time. I say, okay, there's 4 of y'all hanging together. And if he do something, you know, all y'all going to prison, right? You know what I mean?
All of them.
All y'all going to prison. It's not who did the less, who did the most, all y'all going to prison.
Because of the association and being in that place together. Okay.
Right. Especially being affiliated. Because I used to be a gangster disciple, I used to be affiliated. And so that made it worse coming into the court system. But Jesus Unit, I went to prison in 1993. I was just turning 23 years old. And I grew up in South Memphis. I grew up in South Memphis, Monterey's projects. And this was my first time going to prison. I had been in trouble before, but this is my first time going to prison. I'm finna let you know what led up to Jesus Unit. Okay. Led up to Jesus Unit.
Love the transparency. So
right.
My audience definitely needs that.
Right, it led up to Jesus Unit. Like I said, I went in, a jury found me guilty of criminal responsibility of another. I ended up going to prison. The judge sentenced me to life in prison. And the thing about it was that I think looking back on the life in prison, handcuffs saved my life. Handcuffs saved my life. They don't feel good, and they might tighten up a little bit tight on you, but they saved my life looking back. And when the judge sentenced me to life in prison, he sentenced me and said, Mr. Davis, work it out. That's the last thing he told me. He said, I'm sentencing you to life in the state penitentiary and work it out. And that was the last thing that he said to me. And the thing about it was that here I am, 23 years old, and it looks like my life is over. But it was a bailiff that told me something going out, and it stuck with me. And he says this, he pulls my arm, and he says, don't accept the life. Accept the life more abundantly.
Wow.
Right? And I didn't want to hear it, but it stuck with me. It stuck with me. It stuck with me. And I ended up going to Fort Pillar Prison. I ended up going to Fort Pillar Prison, which was the most dangerous prison in the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
When I say dangerous prison in the state of Tennessee, you either have a knife or you have a gun to survive. They had guns in prison.
And
Inmates had guns in prison.
Wow.
It's closed. They had to close this prison down. It was like one of the oldest prisons in the state of Tennessee. And when I got there, I didn't know nothing but what I knew in the street, how to survive. That's it. And I was blessed when I got there that some people took me under their wing. They had been there, they would never get out of prison. And I'm grateful to them to this day. I still keep in touch with them. I still send them pictures. I send them money on their book because they didn't have to do what they did. They didn't give up on me coming through the door. Even though I was a knucklehead. Even though I was a knucklehead and didn't deserve it. But they seen something in me. My first selling name was David Booker. And he had been locked up for 34 years. And when I went in the cell, it was amazing. When I went in the cell, I was looking at his pictures. All his pictures were black and white. And he had like bell bottoms on. He had like fly suits and Applejack hats. And I'm looking at these pictures, I'm like.
So he's from the 70s.
From the 70s. And he had been locked up since the 70s.
Wow.
Right. And it's crazy. I'm looking at these pictures. And he ended up coming to the cell. And I had moved in. And he looks at me and goes, hey, I'm David Booker. I've been locked up almost 40 years. He said, I'm in here for, I came to prison for drugs and I killed somebody while I've been in prison. And I have a life sentence. Right? He said, I know about you. I know where you're from. I did my homework on you before you got here.
Wow.
I knew you was coming to my cell. And he guess what he told me? If you don't listen, you'll die in prison. You'll have to kill somebody to survive here.
Wow.
So which one you want to do? You want to survive? Listen to me and I'll tell you how to survive. And I didn't know anything about prison. All I knew is I had homeboys in prison. They had been there. And he was telling me, watch your homeboys. Watch this person. I even had to learn how to take a shower. Yeah, I had to learn how to take a shower because you go in this gate, this cage, and you have to take showers. There's men lined up on the wall. And he told me, so when you take a shower, you face a man. You don't turn your back on nobody. You face a man. I had to learn all the instincts of prison. I had to learn fast. Fast because men were dying in prison. Men was killing themselves in prison. I seen it and heard horror stories.
And you were 23 years old?
23 years old at the time. My first time in federal state penitentiary. My first time. And the thing about it was that I got what was going on in prison. I got what was going on in prison. Even though I'm being told what not to do, I'm still going along with it. Hey, they old, they been here, they don't know what's going on. You got to be down, you got to be this to survive. And I dipped in everything there was in prison to dip in. I sold drugs even in prison.
Wow.
Oh, we got into fights, we got into stabbings. Everything that prison had to offer, I was a part of it. But guess what? It was always something about somebody along the way that would always pull me to the side and say, hey, you're better than this. Right? And then deep down inside, I kept saying that I'm not going to be in prison. Even though I want to read my Bible, even though I want to go to church in prison, it was something inside of me that wouldn't accept being in prison for life. It was just something inside of me that wouldn't accept that.
Right.
And I ended up, make a long story short, I ended up getting into a fight in prison about some money. I ended up getting some guy owed me some money. I had to prove a point. And the thing about it was that the guy I thought was scared of me. And the first thing you never do is underestimate people. That's why I don't underestimate entrepreneurs. I don't underestimate people with small businesses, medium-sized business, or ideas. I don't underestimate them because I underestimated this guy. Underestimated him. A little bitty guy, underestimated him. And it almost cost me my life.
Wow.
From underestimating somebody, right? And we got to fight and I got the best of him. And I thought that was over with until I was eating, he tried to stab me.
Wow.
So he came out of nowhere. And this guy was like 5'2", but guess what? He had the strength of Superman.
Wow.
Right. So that was my first lesson. not to underestimate nobody in prison. Never to underestimate nobody. That was my first lesson that I learned in prison. But as I kept going along, I think in my I want to say 4th year of being in prison, I was gonna try to escape. I had said in my mind that I said I'm going to escape prison. I was going through appeals that was getting denied, and I went through my mind. I put in my mind that I'm going to escape prison. Right. I saved a little money. I said I'm going to Jamaica. I'm going to get on board. I'm going to escape prison. That's it. I'm not there. I'm going to spend the rest of my life on the run. I had psyched myself up to say this is what I'm going to do. And I began plotting my escape. And this is the crazy thing about plotting this escape. To escape, we used to go out on work lines. And we would have to, the work line, they had an officer named Wormley. Wormley was cross-eyed. But he was the gunman. But you could never tell, and I'm going somewhere with this, you could never tell who he was looking at because he was cross-eyed. And I heard he could hit you at 100 yards.
Wow.
So that, a no escape on him.
Yeah.
And it was this lady named Miss P. I'm not going to call her name out, but because she still works for the department. Her name was Miss P. Miss P was our rifle woman, and she would be asleep on Mondays.
You had it all figured out.
I already figured out. I'm going to escape on Miss P because she used to take that rifle and she leaned on it. She leaned on the tree. There was her comfort zone, that tree, under that tree, and it would be hot outside. She used to take that lemonade, sit on that tree. He's gone. So I said, this is going to be the day I escape. I'm going to escape on her day. And I went, I had to crawl. Keep in mind, in my mind, I had to crawl at least 200 yards. So I'm crawling every day on the yard. I would crawl.
Practicing.
I was practicing crawling.
Wow. Practicing your escape.
I'm practicing my escape. I'm crawling. I'm crawling. I'm determined that I'm gonna have 100 yards at least of crawling in this field, and work this hay barn. And I practiced for 3 months, crawling. And I got to the point where I could crawl. And I was jogging. I was running 2 miles. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. And me and this guy that was with me, he was going with me, and he was training with me. And the day we went to do it, adrenaline was pumping. I'm like, I'm getting away today. This is it.
This your day.
This is my day. It's gonna be. Look, I got my bed made up. I told myself, probably look, make my bed up when they come from camp. Like I'm here. I'm out of here. I crawled for about 65 yards. And my adrenaline's pumping, crawling about 65 yards from the prison. I crawl up and get bit by, I crawl up on some snake eggs. I get bit 3 times.
3 times?
I got bit 3 times. Sometimes I'm pulling snakes off me, I'm pulling snakes. And my adrenaline is pumping.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting there going, I'm about to die in this field.
Wow.
I'm gonna die in this field. And my adrenaline's pumping. And my guy was like, man, go back. I think poison, some snakes is poison. And I'm sitting, my adrenaline's pumping, I know I have been, and I'm like, and I'm looking up in the sky like, I'm about to die, I don't feel. And nobody gonna never know how I died. I'm gonna die in this field. Yeah. And I crawl back, and I yell snake. When you yell snake, like on the work now, you yell snake. Snakes, when you say snake, it gives you ability to move and where they won't think that you're trying to run off.
Right.
And I played like I got beat in a hay barn. But anyway, I ended up going to the infirmary, and the doctor pulled down this chart of snakes. He said, "Would it look like that?" I was like, "No." Look like that? I was like, "Nah, like that." I said, "It look like that." So you got bit by a water snake. You're all right.
So you could have kept on going.
I could have kept on going. So watch this go. So a snake, keep in mind, a serpent kept me from doing what I had to do. It say now I got saved by handcuffs. Now a serpent. So now I'm like, okay. And then they come tell me, well, you can't go out to work now anymore. We got a new job for you. So now I'm like.
Did they know that you were trying to?
No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sitting there going, okay, now I can't run out.
Right.
So years had passed on, and prison was starting to change. It was more gangs coming into prison, MS-13, more hood. It wasn't no hood stuff anymore. It was like, Vice Lords, Crips, Blood. Everything was growing. And I ended up I met Derek Vernon. Derek Vernon was a hitman for the Vice Lords. I knew of Derek Vernon. But when I got to prison, he was preaching. He was preaching the gospel. I'm like, he crazy. He lost it. You know what I mean? I'm like,
he wasn't true to the set no more.
No, he wasn't true to the set. I'm like, he crazy. That life sentence messed him up. He's crazy. He got a Bible on his arm. He's preaching. But that wasn't the case. He was serious about his walk with God. And I met another guy that was serious about his walk with God. His name was Dwayne Taylor. He had 2 life sentences. And Dwayne told me, he said, I'm going to die in prison, but I'm going to heaven. And I said, crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. But it was a thing about their walk. They didn't walk and talk like they were in prison. They talked like they were free. Wow, why they talk like that? But anyway, I ended up meeting a minister. Well, I told Dwayne I would go to church with him. He said, "We're gonna go to church with me sometime." I said, "Okay, I'll go." Knowing I wasn't gonna go. And he kept asking me, "Come on to church with me sometime." Cause they had volunteers that would come into the prison with church ministry, and it's great church ministries, by the way. Come in, and they had great outreach. And you a church out there, consider doing prison ministry. It works. Trust me, it works.
Yeah.
But I ended up telling him that I was gonna go to church with him one time that I knew I wasn't gonna go. He must have been in that mood that day. And I was on the floor, on the ground, shooting dice in the gym. Me and the guy was shooting dice. And he comes in, he steps on the dice. I had been rolling that day. When I say I couldn't miss. But when he stepped his foot in there, I crapped. I said, "Dude, you playing? Like, you said you was gonna go to church. You said you gave me your word."
Yeah, your word is your bond now.
And this guy, my guy's like, "We gonna jump him." Like, they wanted to jump. He's like, "Man, I don't care about what y'all want me to do. Man, I'm going to heaven. Whatever y'all want to do, whatever." That's dead on it. But I'm here on a mission. You think these fools around care about you? He said, "Man, God care about you more. Come on, church with my boy." I was like, man. So I took him around. I couldn't let them embarrass me from my boys. So I said, "Come on around." I'm hollering, "Come on around this side of this building. We finna have this right now." Get on. So I said, "Man, you embarrassing me. Come on, dude. You can't do this, man."
You had a reputation.
I got a reputation, man. You gonna,
right.
"Man, you gotta come on to church, man. We fight." I said, "I'm gonna go to church with you." He said, "Now." So I come back there playing tough. I said, "I'm gonna go on church this fool." And got set up. I went to church, and it was this minister that came in. His name was Dwayne McCool. Big, humongous guy, big hands. Comes in, he walks in, he looks at me, he looks off. And I'm sitting in the back, of course, back of the church. I'm sitting in the back of the chapel. And he walks by, he grabs my hand, he whispers something to me. And I won't repeat what he whispered to me, but he whispered something to me, and he was on point. What he said in my ears, it went down into my stomach. I knew that he knew what he knew because he spoke to me about my dad. And he told me, he said, "Tonight your life will change. You will not walk in what your dad walked in." My dad had been in prison, and I didn't understand generational curses. I did not understand it. And that night, it changed my life. So now I got to go back, and I'm contemplating on this walk. And keep in mind, I've been in prison now 10 years.
10 years, wow.
And I'm like, contemplating this walk. And I hear it is that I have to tell my guys, and it was a week went by, I kept on contemplating on it, and I tell my guys that I don't want to be a part of y'all no more.
How difficult was that for you to be able to try to dissociate yourself from?
It was very difficult because they wouldn't have it. It's like, "Not you, you are a guy, you are a guy, you are a leader, you are a dude, you are." And I was like, "Oh, it's time for me to change. You know, it's time for me to change. You know, I'm in my 30s now, it's time for me to change." And I ended up getting out of it, you know. They said, "Well, we're gonna give you retirement, let you out," you know what I mean? And I walked away. But I walked away with a mission. I just didn't walk away. My mission was because I knew other guys that were still in the game that were scared to get out because they were gonna get jumped out. So now here I am, guys walking up to me, "I wish I could do what you do." Man. So, and they telling me this, and now I'm in a position where I'm like, you know what? Who feels like this about the Vice Lords? Who feels like this about the cripping? Who feels like this? And now it turns into a mission. It turns into, and I'm cool with all the head guys. I'm cool. I'm that guy. I'm cool with them. And now that I stepped out, they like, "Man, good job." Now I'm really cool with them, but God had a way of doing something in my life that blew my mind. Mm-hmm. So, in prison, the job that you don't want in prison is the shower man. Mm-hmm. You don't want the shower man job. The shower man job is to clean up behind 145 to 150 people. You don't want that job. Mm-hmm. So whatever goes on in the shower, and you have older guys that are in prison that they usually mess in the shower, they use the bathroom, they can't hold it. Mm-hmm. So you got to go in and clean up. So here I am one day, I was walking and pacing the floor in my cell, and I said, hey God, anything that you want me to do, I'll do it for you. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful what you say to God. Be careful what you say. When you tell God, you won't.
Yeah.
So I'm like, God, anything that you want me to do, I'll do it for you. And he goes, boom, 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 knock on the door. That's God. He answered. And the unit manager comes in and she said, hey, Mr. Davis, how you doing? I said, I'm doing well. And she said, you was on my mind about 30 minutes ago for some apparent reason. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying to myself, I was talking to God 30 minutes ago.
30 minutes ago.
So, and she goes, we need you to be the new shower man.
I know you were like, oh God, I said anything, but not that. Not the shower man.
That's embarrassing. The shower man is for the people who don't have no family to send no money on their books. Mm-hmm. It pays 13 cents an hour. You don't want that job. It's for people that came off drugs, came to prison, don't have nobody in their life out there. They can get a job. Mm-hmm. So I thought. I didn't have a problem with money in my book. I didn't have a problem with people. See me, I have a problem with that. My family send me money. I have problems. Mm-hmm. So here it is. I go down there and she tells me this. Oh, I've got to tell you. Now keep in mind, this is a 4-man job. Mm. You don't know when I can find to do it.
Wow. Nobody wanted the shower man job.
So they ready went to the hole and do that. Oh, just send me to the hole.
Wow.
I'm refused. And here I am going. So I get these buckets and I fill these buckets up. And guys looking at me like, they playing dominoes, they're looking at me playing cards, and they looking at me. And now I'm prideful because I think I'm
too good to go be the shower man, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's pride.
Yeah.
But God will show you what that pride to him is.
Yeah.
So I ended up going and guys walking by. Hey, said, what you doing?
I know you're not the shower man.
I know you're not the shower man. So I'm the shower man. What?
Yeah.
So then somebody walks by and said, I knew that light was gonna kick in on. He went crazy. Mm-hmm. And now I want to defend. What did you just? Now I want to defend because I'm mad.
Right.
And so here I am wiping them, and you never know how nasty until you got to clean. I'm like, that's been on the wall? Or that's been there?
Right.
And you cleaning, and I'm cleaning. And I say this to God, I said, God, why I gotta clean the shower? Mm-hmm. And get what he said.
Why not you?
He said, I had to clean up your mess.
Ooh, wee.
Because I left children behind. I had twin daughters at the time I left behind. Mm-hmm. I had another daughter that I left behind. He said, I had to clean up your mess.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that,
you got to clean it.
I got to clean it like,
yeah.
And I was the best at what I did. And it put me in a position to where the people who were talking about me were the people that was coming asking me questions about, man, how you make that decision to get out? And now you're doing this. But what God was showing me was I had to learn how to serve.
Yeah.
How can I say I can get out and serve in my community when I can't serve in the gated community? Mm-hmm. So I had to need to know how to serve.
Right.
This is a gated prison is a gated community.
Right, absolutely.
This is a gated community. And guys was like, hey, hey. And it showed me, and the guys that were talking about me were the guys that were helping me now. Wow. They were coming in volunteering, helping me. Man, see, I got it today. Come on, bro. I got you. You know what I mean? And they were helping me. And they were still affiliated.
Wow. You
know what I'm saying? So, and it gave me an avenue to minister to them. Mm-hmm. And tell them the God, like, man, if you just do this, God will do that. If you just do this, God will do that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I had to learn how to serve. Mm-hmm. So, in Kairos, I met somebody in Kairos, Chris Courts, one of the good brothers, and I told him what was going on with me, and he was like, you a shower man? And he was a volunteer. Yeah. But anyway, I did that job for 4 months, with the best job in prison, with the best job in prison behind it. And it was amazing to me that I didn't want to leave out the job.
Out of the shower man job or the new
the shower man job? I didn't want to leave out.
The job that you didn't want.
I wanted to keep it.
Because
it was an avenue for me. It was an avenue. It was an avenue for the tough guys. It was an avenue for guys that felt like it was beneath them. Right. It was an avenue.
You showed them another way to look at the
So
adversity.
when people say, when they were asking me, man, why you come to the King's house? Yeah. I said, I gotta learn how to serve. So I'm serving you. I gotta learn how to serve, and I gotta learn how to serve appropriately. I'm being prepared to another level.
Right.
God's gonna prepare me for another level, and it was amazing because this is how Jesus Unit came about. So in prison, now keep in mind, I'm still, you know, I'm reading my Bible, I'm going to church, but I still got that mentality to survive.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna pick on my brothers. You're not gonna pick on because this brother Christian or this brother this. You're not gonna pick on. And my approach was, you know, when guys come and say, man, I want to get out, man.
Yeah.
And so guess what I would do? I would go to game room and say, listen, he want to get out. Different games. He want to get out. He want to serve God. Oh, he got to get beat out.
Yeah.
Oh, no. So he got to beat out. He got to get beat out. This was my approach. I would always say this. Man, you want to beat the man out to serve the same God, to take care of your family on the street? Your children, your mama? And they would stop and freeze like, man, you can have them. You know what I'm saying? I would use the same approach with the toughest of the toughest. I would use the same approach, and it worked. And I ended up meeting one little particular kid, and he said, man, I'm going to have to get beat out. And I said, okay, I'm going to talk to the dude. He said, I don't want you to talk to him. He ain't going to say no. I'm willing to go through that. And
he was willing to.
Man, that was it. I knew my mission then. When somebody say, I'm going to go in here and take this 7-minute beating, and when I come out, I'm going to be free. Right? And I'm like, you don't have to. I'm trying to talk him into it. He's like, yeah, don't talk him into it. I deserve what I'm about to get.
Why did he feel like he deserved?
Right, and I told him, I said, why did you feel that way? He was like, some things I did in my life that I shouldn't have did. I said, man, God has forgiven me for that. So what makes you think that you have to go through that? And he was like, I just know it. I don't want to go through this. So I don't want you to come back and say, tomorrow you got to get beat out tomorrow. Right. And he went and he took it. When I say he took it, he took it. And when he came out, I was like, wow. And I took him to my cell, man, passed him up. I was like, man, he was like, thank you, Jesus. He was like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Because
he felt
free. He was like, freedom, like, wow. You know what I'm saying? It was like, wow. And I knew my mission. So it went from guys that were in the games, getting out of the game. Now they're going to church with me. They're going to church. And now we used to go together. And they used to call us Jesus gang, the Jesus gang, dude. Because I still was with that mentality that, because people prey on Christians in prison. They prey on them. Like, they're weak. They'll take your stuff. They'll take your shoes. If you're a Christian, it's game with they prey on Christians. But I won't have it. I'm like, nah. Nah, we ain't having that. That's my mentality. And it's crazy that people are like, man, some Jesus gang. Because when we go to church, we go together. We sit down, we eat together. You know, and it was crazy because I carried a Bible. I carried a knife in my Bible. I'm young. I carried a shank in my Bible. I wasn't playing.
Right.
We're not going to accept anything less. Not going to go respect. You're going to respect God. You're going to respect us, God in us. And it went from Jesus gang. So one day, because we all lived in the same unit. And so one day, God said, man, there's some Jesus unit dudes. Boom.
There goes the light bulb.
There's the light bulb. And I was just doodling one day. Just doodling. Jesus unit. I'm like, just went to doodling. And I went to the library that we had, and I looked up how to trademark stuff. So I instantly went and got the application, wrote to the Library of Congress, got the trademark. I had to sign the money off my books. It was $325 at the time to trademark Jesus unit. This was like 10 years ago. Well, it was longer than that now, but 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. But I trademarked it. It went through. And I said, when I get out, I'm going to do this. And even when it wasn't looking like I was getting out, I kept saying, when I get out. So here we go. We got a guy here. This is what made me say, every day that I'm getting out, it's going to mess you up. Okay. This guy named Daniel. And Daniel was like, hey, every day he would say to me, 7 years. 7 years he would say this to me. Hey, Sid, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing good, D. What's up with you? Man, I'm good. I'm going home tomorrow. I said, man, congratulations, bro. Man, good. Take care of yourself out there. The next day, he said the same thing. I was like, okay. So God put me to the side. He crazy. He gonna say this every day, so you just play along with it.
Right.
He crazy. I'm like, oh, okay. So now it's me playing along with him. Man, what you gonna eat first when you get out? man, I'm gonna eat me some JLC, man. I'm gonna big out. And he did this for 7 years. And
he set this same setup every day for 7 years.
For 7 years, he would pass you in the hallway, in the library. He would stop me. Hey, Sam, how you doing? I'm going home tomorrow. I'm like, hey, man, congratulations. I play along with it. Man, I'm gonna miss you. And so one day, he was on yard, and he was going toward the place where you don't go unless you get out of prison. Mm-hmm. He had these bags with him, and he was going down. It was count time. And when they was like, hey, D, don't go down there. You can't go down there. Empty. He done went too far. He going to the hole, he gonna get shot. So don't go down there. And they was telling us to go in. And I'm sitting in my cell patient. I'm like, man, I know they probably beat him up, put him in the hole. Mm. Man, he a good little dude. He's just crazy. So after count, we need to go out and go down and I said, man, what did? He's like, you go home. I'm like, hold up. Wait a minute. Yeah, life sentence, no parole. He went home.
Life sentence, no parole.
I said, hold up. And I said, he gone. No, he gone home. I said, no way. No way. Mm-hmm. He got out. I'm like, they like, he gone home. And I said, no, he got transferred to another prison. Mm-hmm. No.
He's gone home.
And they said, he gone home. And so some people seen him leaving out. After they said when he leaving out in the parlor, they said, man, he went home, man. I'm like, wow. So, how he got his case overturned, somebody walks into a detective office and confesses to the crime that he committed. Wow. I was like, I couldn't make this up. Like, wow. So guess what I did? Every day, I get up and look in the mirror and say, you going home tomorrow? Mm-hmm. That's me. Every day, I get up, my face goes, you going home tomorrow? Mm-hmm. It bumped me up to where you going home tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You going? I see him every day until the fact that when my seller would be sitting in there, he would say he'll try to do it before I do it. All right, you going home tomorrow? He like, and I said it and I said it and I said it, and I ended up this attorney. I wrote this attorney, and it was like, your appeal's over with, it's over. You know what I mean? It's over, and I get a letter in the mail from an attorney. They said, you've been on my mind all these years. I think I got a way to help you get out. Wow. And I had 4 attorneys on this case. I had 4 attorneys. Money to get me out of prison. They get that understood. My money was gone. Attorneys, 50, 20,000. It was over. It was over. Because I'm thinking, I got a lot. I got some money. I'm going to get out of prison. That wasn't so.
Don't guarantee anything.
They don't guarantee anything. Money, it had nothing to do with money. It had everything to do with my faith. Yeah. Because I would sit, it's crazy, I would sit in my cell and actually, I would take t-shirts, like white t-shirt, white t-shirts, and I would take a marker and I would just write Jesus. I would draw on it.
Now you have all these decoratives.
Right, but I was doing it in prison. I was doing it in prison. I was like, this is going to be a $50 million company. I was just, wow. And I was like, this is going to be a major company, this is going to be a major company, this is going to be a major company. Major company. And I kept saying it over and over again. But anyway, I ended up getting some stuff situated in courts. It took, when I tell you, this woman is an angel. She filed some stuff in court for me. The judge approved it all in one day.
Wow, that's usually unheard of.
One day.
Yeah.
And I got the mail 4 days later with it approved saying that you figure parole board. And I'm going, this can't be real. I'm like, it couldn't have been that easy. But going to church, I seen a lot of people in prison use words certain ways. How I survived in prison, I tell people this, how I survived in prison was not by my eyes. It was by my ears. Yes. It was by my ears. I survived by ear, hearing. Even God tells you hearing. Hearing the word of God, hearing. In my faith, I survived by hearing because your ears are never blinking. Your eyes will miss something. Yeah. You're going to hear who the tough is. Yeah. He ain't been played with. Right. Oh, that officer, they're dirty. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear men's faith. You're going to hear men's testimonies. You're going to come to hear how men walked out of prison. You're going to hear it. Yeah. And that's how I survived. And I end up going to parole. And my parole, you know who's going to be on parole officer before you go. Mm-hmm. My parole officer was Randy Gobble. Gobble. And what monsters do they gobble? He was notorious. If you've been in prison over 20 years, I'm not letting you out. He was notorious for this. Mm-hmm. He was an in-state trooper. Oh man, the stories about him, and he was notorious for telling you no. Mm-hmm. And I had put in my mind that I was already out. Mm-hmm. I seen myself already out. Mm-hmm. I was already out. I kept seeing myself already out. Mm-hmm. Already out. Everything that I kept seeing was I was out. I'm out. And it's crazy. So God gave me a revelation of Indian. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get to where this helped me. He gave me a revelation of Indian. Mm-hmm. Gave me a revelation of Indian. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to end this. I'm going to show you what happened. So, I knew I was going to have where I watched Martin Luther King anniversary every year on History Channel. Mm-hmm. Every year I would watch Martin Luther King's History Channel. Every year I would watch the Olympics. Mm-hmm. That was my pattern thing that I did every year in prison. So, I'm watching Martin Luther King's annual anniversary on the History Channel. And you know how it's going to end. Mm-hmm. You know how it's going to end. Yeah. He's going to be assassinated.
Right.
But it was some things that I asked God, I said, God, why you let Martin Luther King get assassinated? He said, I didn't kill him, he killed himself. Mm. And I was like, wait a minute. Now, when I heard he killed himself, and when I heard that he did his own eulogy, he spoke his own eulogy.
Right.
He preached his own eulogy.
Right.
So for you to preach your own eulogy, you got to go where the eulogy is going to take you. That's to the grave. Mm-hmm. Great man.
Yeah.
Great man. Don't get me wrong, but I knew I had heard some words. But he had a power. Martin Luther King had one of the most powerful revelations that it was, and I'm going to give it to you. So, here I am. I read Genesis, the book of Genesis, for 8 years. Mm. God wouldn't allow me to come out of Genesis for 8 years.
Wow.
I couldn't go to Exodus. I couldn't go to Revelation. I couldn't go nowhere else in the Bible. Even when I did,
he brought you back.
I would go to sleep. Oh. I couldn't focus on those. And God would say, go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. Go back to the beginning. I did this for 8 years, and I got mad. I was like, God, why you calling and got me reading? I know Genesis like the back of my hand. Mm-hmm. And it came to me. I got a highlighter. And God said, let that be light. And this is the first thing that I underlined. Mm-hmm. And God would visit me in prison. I was Jamaican. But God would come visit me in prison in a star, form of a star. I would be asleep, and when that star gets dangling above my window, I know God's there. I look up, the star is dancing. God is here. And I go, what is it, God? Talk to me. And he said, let there be. Understand, let there be. Mm. I get my Bible, turn my night light on, and God gave me one of the most powerful revelations that, man, he gave it to me. He gave it to me, and I'm like, he gives this X a revelation that's so powerful that it blew me away. And he said, highlight lit. And I went to the Bible and I was highlighting lit. I get teary-eyed every time I talk about it.
That's okay, that's okay.
Every time I talk, I get teary-eyed about this revelation he gave me.
Yeah.
Because this revelation is helping me now. It helps me walk out of prison. Yeah. So he goes, highlight the word lit. And when you highlight it, you're going to go, let there be light. You're going to go, let there be grass, let the water be divided. It's going to keep on down. And the last time that God says let is let us make man in our own image. Mm. So I'm not going to tell you how many times he said it. That's your homework. You got to go in, and everybody's listening. Yeah. Go in and highlight how many times God said let. It's going to blow your mind. And he stops. Mm. He stops. And I'm going, God, why didn't you just say grass? And I get a dictionary, and I look at my dictionary, what's the dictionary, and I look up the word let. And let is in the dictionary, it's this long, but the word is 3-letter words.
Right.
It takes up one side of the dictionary. I'm like, what is it about this word of let? And I go, okay. So, and I'm looking at it, let. So, I said, God, every time you use the word let, something moved. Mm. When you use the word let, something moved. And I said, when you use the word let, something has to move. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So here it is. God tells Moses. Moses asks God, what should I say to the most powerful Pharaoh and he tells him, go in and tell them, let my people go. And when I seen it, I was like, now God told me to go to Exodus. And when I seen that in Exodus, I said, golly. We watched the Ten Commandments, the movie, and now it's going off in my head.
Yeah.
Every time that Pharaoh rejected the word let, something moved against him. When God used stuff on earth, something moved for him. So every time that he would go in and say, God said, let my people go. Blood and water, all kind of locusts. Everything moved against Pharaoh. So I'm like, when you use the word let, something has to move. When you use the word let, something has to move. When you use the word let, something has to move. Now, I see why I was watching Martin Luther King's every year anniversary, because he said, let freedom ring. So I tied it all in together.
Yeah.
Here he is at the Capitol.
Yeah. Where
laws and voting laws are made, and he goes, let freedom ring. Let it ring from the mountaintop. Let it ring here. Let it ring there. Let it ring. And freedom rang.
He did.
So he asked God, did he know this? Did he know this revelation? Did he know what you gave me? Did he know this? And it changed my prayer life. So when I pray, I say, Lord, let this be a blessed day. Let my children be saved. You know, let my angels be headlights as I travel. You know what I mean? And when I tell you, I pray I incorporate that my business continue to grow. I put it in, so anything that's going to hinder it, it has to be removed. It has to be moved. So here I am going to parole board with this revelation. Oh man, I was ready. So I got up the morning, I'm going to the parole board, and I'm sitting there. And of course, in the parole board hearing, the place where before you go in, it's going to be guys waiting on somebody to come out with thumbs up.
Right.
Ready to see the result. And when they come out,
that means
they come out. So I was supposed to be first. They came in and said, Dave, you're going to be last. I said, okay. It's okay.
The first shall be last.
So here it is. They changed my position. Guy goes in, the second guy goes in and comes out and goes, you mother effing boo boo boo, he cusses him out. And now everybody's going, he ain't gonna let none of us go today. It's over.
Yeah.
And I still stayed firm. I didn't let that waver me. There was the enemy going, man, come on, just decrease in your faith, just decrease.
Yeah.
I didn't let that bother me. So I ended up going in. They let two people go, matter of fact. I ended up going in, and he goes, good morning, Mr. Davis. I go, good morning. He said, how you doing? I said, before this hearing starts, I'd like to thank you for letting me go today. He goes,
before you even get started, but you was already speaking it into the atmosphere.
So he goes, what make you think I'm just going?
Right.
Who's you?
Right.
So I came here with something. Came here with something. Come here with. I came with faith. You don't see it?
Yeah.
So anyway, make a long story short, we going on with the hearing. And this guy is like, stone-faced. And I told him, say something, I told him, I'm not asking you to let me out today. He said, what? I said, I'm not asking you to let me out. I'm asking you to let me in. He goes, what do you say? I said, I'm asking you to let me in. I said, so many people think they're going out of prison. They're not going out of prison. They're going back into society. I'm asking you to let me in.
Let you back in.
I'm already out.
Yeah.
Why would you let me out again?
Yeah.
I'm already out. He said, I never heard such a thing. I said, yeah. He said, I never heard that before. I've been on board over 20 years. Never heard that before. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so he goes, okay, if I let you in, what is the first thing that you're going to do? And I said, praise God, of course. I said, second, I'm going to go down here to this Popeyes and get that chicken sandwich they've been fighting over. So, he looked at me, just saying that. Now I see him smiling like, you said,
Popeyes,
they was fighting over that sandwich. I'm sitting in prison going, why are they fighting over this sandwich?
Yeah.
I got to have it.
You gotta have it.
So, but anyway, he ended up saying, okay, I don't know why I'm going to do this. So that lets me know, for a person to tell you they want to know why they're going to do actually what they know and do, it means God is in control.
Oh, yeah.
God turns the heart of men. He turns the heart of kings, judges, lawyers. He turns the heart of gang members. He turns the heart of men. He turns it the way he wants to turn it. He does that. He goes, he does that. And I ended up coming out of prison. And when I tell you, when I walked out of prison, the birds even sounded different.
Wow.
The birds in prison are sad. But the birds that's over the gate, they were I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
It was like they welcomed me. It was like a welcome party.
Wow.
It was like a welcoming party.
Yeah.
And I sat there, I was like, wow. I was like, wow. But before I left out, you know, when I walked out of parole board, and guys were like, I was like, and the guy said, man, why you ain't happy? I said, how can I be happy for something I knew I already had?
You already had it.
I already knew it was going to be happy. So why would I ask the bro, I got it?
Yeah.
That means that my faith on where I said it was going, or where it was. I already had it. I knew I had it. I'm like, I knew it because I knew I had a plan. I had Jesus in me to get on somebody's back. I had a testimony to get somebody to keep going. I already knew this. I knew this. I knew this. I knew this. And the crazy part about it was that I knew, and temptation was there. Don't let me make no one. It was there when I got out. It was there. So people here reached out to me that knew I didn't have to go to prison. All I had to do was open my mouth. And I would have got a better deal.
Yeah.
I would have been out of prison. I turned 6 years into a life sentence. All I had to do was say, they got this, and this is where we get these kilos from, and this is where we get that from.
Right.
And I had some homeboys that were still dealing. And an agent come talk to me and say, hey, you want to get out of prison? Tell her where your homeboy getting his drugs from. We give you a reduced sentence, you walk out of prison, I wouldn't do it. And they told me you never got out of prison. But look where I'm at.
Yeah.
So, and the crazy part about it was, I still firm what I believe in. But the same people, some of the same people when I came home, they were like, hey, you want to kill, get back in, you want this, you want to put your own, you want this. And here I am going, I made God a promise. Made him a promise. And here comes a partner, one of the partners back in the day, he comes to me and said, man, I got 100 pounds of weed I want to give you, and just pay me back next year. And I'm going, I didn't tell God I won't sell no weed. I'm being honest with you. So, I'm being honest with you. And I sat down, I was like, wow, I can do this. I can do this. Everybody's selling weed. That's the temptation inside of me. I can do this. I can do this. And then the other part of what God brought you from stands up and say, hey, remember me. That part stands up and says, remember me. And I came home with the pandemic, during the pandemic in time. So here I am, I got t-shirts, I got blank t-shirts, I got 20 blank t-shirts, I got silhouette cameo, I got a computer, I got a laptop at the time, and I have no customers. And I put the shirt on, I never forget, I put the shirt on, I come from writing markers, now I can actually do this.
Did you actually print it?
So here I am, I put on my first t-shirt that I printed, I put on my first t-shirt, and I remember going to take the trash out in these apartments when I was staying at the time. And the guy said, hey, young blood, where you get that shirt from? I said, I make them. He said, man, I gotta have one of them, bro.
Yeah.
I said, all right. I said, what size you is? I'm your size. I said, all right. I went in the house. Made the shirt. We knocked on the door. He said, man, I'm fast. I said, I told you I make them. He said, what you want for it? I said, don't worry about it. He said, I got $20. Give me $20. Get the shirt. He's like, I got some K-Swiss gonna match this, huh? He slammed the door. Before I can say thank you, he slammed the door. I said, I appreciate it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. So that was my first sale. Wow, my first sale.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, I made a sale.
And see, God was already setting you up that you didn't have to go sell that pound.
I had to go sell that.
Yeah.
I got a sale right under your nose. And it was crazy. So I had a neighbor that stayed next door to me, across from me. He was from Virginia. He had just moved there, him and his wife, they were the elder couple. And I was coming outside again, going to the store. And he said, he's a Jesus unit. He said, boy, I like that. And it was elderly like, I said, I appreciate it. I said, man, I make them.
Yeah.
He said, think you got my size? So this is my second sale. And he said, you think you can do one for the color of my wife?
Yeah.
Put a color, a fancy color. She like purple.
I like purple.
So I said, okay. So here I am. I said, okay, I can go, print it up, same as something. But this was different. I go knock on his door. I said, I got your shirt ready. He said, man, oh man, I like it. I love it. Mm-hmm. The wife comes in there, oh, I love it. He gives me $100 bill. Wow. So I said, I'm gonna get you Chinese. No, that's for you. Wow. I said, okay, I need some more shirts. No, I ain't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it went from there. And of course I had some family members that I hadn't seen. Mm-hmm. And I went around them. And this is to anybody that has family members that you come home from prison, whether you're a man or woman. When you come home from prison, you're going to be viewed as the person that you were before you went to prison. Let's get that understood.
Right.
And so if they're gonna look for you, I know you fit get back on. I know you fit get this money. I know. And I'm like, I'm fit to say that Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I got a cousin that pulled me to the side and said, man, I don't think they're gonna sell, bro. Mm-hmm. He rocking Gucci there, he rocking Louis there, he rocking that.
That all had to start somewhere
I
too.
said, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. And it was like, I say over the first 6 months, over 780 shirts, they were wrong. Wow. I were wrong. And I'm sitting there going, I got 5 figures right now. They wrong. You know what I'm saying? They wrong. Mm-hmm. They wrong. And it's crazy that they were doing the same thing that they were doing before I went in. It was crazy. Mm. So I did time and they wasted it. Right. I mean, I did time, I didn't waste time. Mm-hmm. They wasted time. They waste time. And I did a video about wasting time. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'd rather you waste water than time. Right. I'd rather you take
You can get some more water.
I'd rather you take this. I'd rather you take this and do this. Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. You can do it over and over until the body's empty. You can do it over and over and over and over again. Yeah. I can go in the faucet right down the bathroom and fill this back up. Mm-hmm. So my thing is again, I'd rather you waste water than time. Yeah. I tell anybody that you can get back to back to water.
You can't get that time back.
You're not gonna get time back. Time is a span time. And people are like, oh, time is just time moving fast. It's moving fast because you're not doing anything. Right. You're not doing anything with your life. It's moving fast in a fast pace because you're not doing anything in life. Mm-hmm. I don't pay attention to time anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't pay attention to time. That's one thing I don't pay attention to is time anymore. I don't pay attention. I just don't waste it. Right. Because time is doing what God told it to do. Mm-hmm. Keep moving. Time is not gonna stop. God said, I ordain you to keep moving. Mm-hmm. So keep moving. Mm-hmm. I ordain the sun to do what they're supposed to do. I ordain the moon to do what it's supposed to do. Now keep moving. Mm-hmm. He ordained the earth to do what it's supposed to do. And the earth is not concerned about, do you have enough time? The sun, the moon, it's not concerned about that. It's only God and then you know, listen, make your time wisely. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Make it wisely. Don't make the wrong choices with time. And a mistake, all entrepreneurs, even you entrepreneur, a mistake is not a mistake. Mm-hmm. A mistake is not a mistake. I was reading about Warren Buffett. I read a lot of books. Yeah. I was reading about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett said this. He said he don't invest his money in no companies unless they have failed and failed and failed and failed. That's true. That's what he said. Unless they have failed. He don't want to see a company that ain't failed because he know it has the potential to fall. Right. On his watch. Mm-hmm. So, and it grabbed me right then. It grabbed me. And like I said, I deal with a lot of people. When I say I deal with a lot of people, you know, Jesus Unit, I deal with a lot of people. I met a lot of people. I met some great people this past weekend, mm-hmm. you know, this last weekend at a Stop the Violence rally. Mm-hmm. But again, and this is all the people God would give you a vision. He will give you a vision. And again, a mistake is not a mistake. Mm-hmm. If you do something, it's intentionally. Yeah, it's a lesson. That's why I tell people, you know, when you make those mistakes along your journey, it's not a mistake. It's just a lesson so that you can go back to the drawing board, start over again, and perfect what you maybe didn't do right the first time. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's how you view your mistake. Yeah. A mistake, really, and it's crazy how I view life. I view life different. When I say I view things different, I look at the bad side of it and I look at the good side of it. If it's something bad, I'm like, oh, what's the bad side of it? What is the bad in there? Okay, I see the bad. But what's the good side of it? Mm-hmm. It's a potential good side in it. And one thing about it, right, and I was an example of what not to do. Mm-hmm. My life started out going to prison as an example of what not to do. And it had me living in pain and shame. Mm-hmm. Those two things right there, pain and shame, you don't want to live in. Mm-hmm. The pain of going to prison, the shame of it. A perfect stranger comes down and say, all right, this robe, undress, strip search. You don't even know this person. The shame of it, the shame of leaving your kids behind, the shame of making them fall, the shame of it, and then you're in pain. I watched many men, matter of fact, I watched some of the strongest men that build strong hang themselves. Hang, just give up. They was in pain and in shame. And a lot of people out here are living in that. They're living in pain, they're living in shame. They get divorced, they're living in pain, they're living in shame. They're failing in business, they're doing, and they're living in pain and shame. But I'm here to tell you that there's something inside of pain. God has chosen people. God, Jesus himself had to go through some pain. He did. He had to go through some pain. You're going to go through pain. Yeah. It's how you handle the pain.
Right.
It's how you handle the pain. It's how you handle it. People ask me all the time, man, how did you survive prison all them years? You got 26 years and 5 months in prison, 9,680 some days in prison. How did you survive that? How did you survive that? I said, I survived by listening. Because I didn't listen prior to going to prison. Had I listened, I never would have went to prison.
Right.
So I survived by listening. I survived by listening. Listen to what God speaks from the inside out. He's going to speak to you. He's going to tell you, don't go there. Go ahead and go proceed with that.
Right.
And when I hear people say, God has a group of chosen people.
Oh, yeah, I totally believe that.
He has leaders, and leaders are lonely. Let's get that understood.
Facts.
Leaders are lonely. Leaders are lonely. They're lonely. Jesus was lonely. He left the place that he grew up in and said, I can't do no miracles here. I'm gone. They don't believe in what I'm doing. You just a carpenter, Jesus. You ain't nothing. Said you just do Jesus on it. You're an ex-gang on. You've been in prison. You just that.
Right.
That's who you are.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So now I got to shift and move away from y'all because y'all don't know my true identity. I got to shift. Now I have to shift. And it's crazy that when you make shift, people look inside your head like you think you all that. And sometimes we are dumbed down to prove that we're not all that.
Come on.
Why I'm going to dumb down?
Come on.
Why I'm going to dumb down to prove I'm not all when God said you are that and more.
That's what he said.
You are more than a conqueror. God, and people dumb down and say, I don't want them to think that. I don't want them to think that I'm a... And I had got invited to a barbecue at a family gathering. Here I am in my room saying, oh, I ain't going to wear this. I ain't going to put that on because I know they don't dress like nothing. And I'm going to be the best dressed in this party. And I'm like, why am I dumbing down? Why am I dumbing down for these people? And guess what God say? Come out amongst them. Don't even go. I was like, I'm not even going to go, man. Right. It's not even worth it. Because I'm going to steal. And they asked me to do it and went to prison and got out and got lucky.
Got lucky.
Yeah, you lucky.
You lucky. Yeah. You
lucky somebody buying your stuff. You lucky. No, it's not that it's luck that people buy my product. It's not that luck that people buy my product. When you buy Jesus, you're not just buying Jesus, you buy my testimony. Right. You have a testimony. You're wearing a testimony. Right. You have a testimony on what Jesus doing. Because everybody's a soldier in God's eyes. Yeah. Everybody's a soldier.
Yeah. And that's why I love your brand so much and why it's kind of dear to my heart because again, just like you said, you know, most of us have gone through obstacles, detours in life or whatever. And we that are believers of Christ, we have a struggle, we have our testimonies, but we are still part of God's chosen, you know, to still keep going forward. And I love that. And that's why I love what you're doing with this brand as well, for sure.
Now I'm going to show you this jacket. Let me see. Yeah, okay. I had this jacket. And this lady, bless her heart, but me her cool now. So I got this jacket. This is one of my jackets right
here. Yeah, but like it's soft too.
Yeah, one of my jackets. Okay, so of course I got my logo, Jesus on it.
Yeah.
So on this side of my jacket is how people portray it. On this side of my jacket, you see an angel.
An angel with a gun.
You see an angel with a gun.
Yeah.
So this lady contacted me on Instagram and said, hey, why you got an
angel with a gun?
With a gun. I love your brand, but I wouldn't buy that. And I was like, okay. I told her, please FaceTime me. So she FaceTimed me. She was hysterical. My grandson wear your stuff. And I'm like, okay, I see it. The meaning of the angel with a gun on him, this angel with a gun, is because my angel will protect me by any means necessary.
Wow.
By any means. God's angel is going to protect our people by any means necessary. Whatever it takes to take care of your son, protect your son, your household, God is going to do that. No, he's a keeper. God got people in places that, hey, you might have a neighbor that sees somebody trying to go in your house. Hey, freeze. God's going to protect his people. And when I told her that, she sat down. She said, "Oh, they will." I said, "They gonna protect me." I'm just, cause you're gonna see a lot of this. People gonna see a lot of this, and it's crazy that people gonna see a lot of this. But it's the meaning. It's not violent. But God talks about His kingdom being taken by force. Yeah, He talks about that. So God is not no. God has people in place to protect us. So that's what this means. When you see it, that would mean. But she ended up. I ended up sitting on one with a pink one. Like I wish I had a picture. And she was posing.
Because it's pink. Now
she sent me a picture like, you know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is that, you know, I love what I do. And I tell people all the time, I promise I tell people all the time, they got brands that gave up on their brand.
Yeah.
And I tell people, listen, why would you give up on something that you knew that was gonna work? And like, it's crazy, and I see good in everybody. Man, I see brands after brands after brands out here, and I be like, hey, that's gonna work. That's gonna work. That's gonna work. And it's crazy that I had somebody try to buy my brand. I had a guy try to buy my company. He's like, hey, I like that out of Seattle. And he told me, he said, he's on Instagram. I thought it was a joke at first. People always send you scams on Instagram. Sure. Like, I want to buy your company. And I go, yeah, right. So I didn't answer. And he was like, hit me again. This time he hit me on the messenger, the FaceTime thing. I'm like, oh, it just hit me up. Hit him up. Guy sitting there smiling, tie on, and he goes, I want to buy your company. And I go, company's not for sale. He's like, everything is for sale.
For the right price.
Everything is for sale for the right price. So this is what he does. He says, let me show this to you. I can't show it to you, but I'll show it to you. Yeah. So this is what he does. He goes, I'm going to fly you out. I need you to go to Arkansas. I'm going to fly you out. And I want you to come to Seattle. And I want you to sit down and we're going to talk numbers. I want to buy your company. And this is what he sent.
Wow.
That's what he sent. My first time ever on one of these. Ever on a jet. I was on a jet. I was on a $20 million jet. So I jump on this $20 million jet. And I go, oh yeah, it's on. I said, I'm gonna give me $5 million. I'm going, it's on, God. It's on. I said, God, is your sign? So I get there, and nice as this plane is, the building where they were nicer.
Right.
So I get off and get in the sprinter van, I go in this huge, nice building. Get on the elevator, go and come straight to that place where they are. I'm like, man, these folks got plenty of money. And I was like, retain ownership, keep a percentage of your company, keep a percentage of your company. That's all in my mind, keep a percentage of your company. And I'm going, okay, I gotta please hold, I'm gonna say 80% if it's a big number. I wanna be a millionaire. I kept saying I'm gonna be a millionaire next year. And he goes, how you doing? He shakes my hand, he looks at me. I'm looking at this dark room, I'm like, man, why is it so dark in here? And I'm looking at this art, this crazy art on the wall. And I'm like, it's crazy. My spider sense is kicking in, like, this is not the place to be right now. It's something about this room. And he goes, I want to give you $300,000 for the trademark. I'm like, it's not for sale. He goes, everything's for sale. I said, it's not for sale. He said, you only paid $325 for it. I'm
right, for the
$350,000. You when I said, after taxes, it's not $350,000. First of all.
True.
So he goes, all right, I'm going to give you $500,000. I go, no. He goes, he calls somebody. Calls the guy, he comes in. It's his son-in-law, whatever he was. He comes in, he shakes my hand. Hey, Jason Jr., you're that guy. I'm like, yes, I'm that guy. He goes, we give you $600,000. We got a lawyer in the next room. We're going to come here and sign this. I see it. Nah, I see it. I want to retain ownership of my company. I want to give up my company. And I said, you're going to make a lot of money with Jason Jr. He said, I'm not going to make a dime. And I go, no, I'm going to make a dime. He said, man, it's going to stay. He said, no, I'm not going to make a dime off this. I'm going to take your company when you walk out here, and I'm going to scrap it.
Yeah, that happens.
Nobody ever wear this. I'm an atheist.
Wow.
Nobody's ever going to wear this. Nobody's going to wear this.
Wow.
I'm going to buy the shirt off your back.
And your trademark just to shut it down.
And when I said, it shook me.
That's a message.
It shook me. It shook me. And I'm sitting there going, I'm here on this nice plane. Would you say nice plane? I'm on a $20 million plane, comes into this big corporation. This guy tells me that he's going to scrap it. I'm going to scrap it. I'm going to buy the shirt off your back and give you another shirt to wear out here, our company shirt. I'm going to take that shirt and I'm gonna throw it in that fireplace over there.
Wow.
And name your price. I said, it's not for sale. He said, thank you, Mr. Davis. I said, thank you for your time. And we leave out. I'm going back to where they had my accommodations at. I go in there, when I tell you I grab everything I could grab, and I was on Delta the next night. I slept at the airport because my plane won't leave till next morning. And I was out of there. I didn't take the accommodations back. I thought the plane would crash. You know what I'm saying? But you have evil people in this world. There's some evil people in this world.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad that I had it's not about money. Money is gonna come.
Yeah.
Money's gonna be here. Money's gonna be here forever. Money's gonna be here forever.
Forever, in some shape, form, or fashion, it's always gonna.
It's gonna be here forever. And the thing about it is, I know guys that are in prison and never get out of prison. Let me get you understood. I got guys that are in prison that are never getting out of prison, but they have children out here. And when I came home, there were some guys that took care of me in prison. When I say look out for me, they looked out for me in prison. They would have died with me. They would have died with me. I know guys that would have died with me in battle. They would have died in a night fight with me. Or ride, they would have died. And before I went home, I had a request. And my request was that, look after my son. Look after my daughter. From different guys. And when I came home, I didn't have much. But when I went to go find these kids, these children, it was devastating. It was devastating. It was devastating. You know, it was sheets in the window, it was milk crates everywhere. It was devastating. It was nothing in the refrigerator. It was devastating what I seen the women do to their children while their men behind bars. No dad around. And it was devastating. It was hurtful. Here it is, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old looking at you like, hey, who you with? Where y'all mom at? She gone.
Wow.
How long she been gone? And a lady there across the street go, they help her been gone probably 4 days. I said, y'all had anything to eat? So my partner, he calls me. And I said, I'm over here. And he said, how they looking? I didn't want to FaceTime him because in prison, you got cell phones in prison.
Right.
People got cell phones in prison. Everybody know that. And he FaceTimed me, and I didn't want to show him how they were living. And he broke his heart. He broke my heart. And I said, hey, y'all had anything to eat? Y'all want some McDonald's? And here's an 8-year-old goes, no, I don't want McDonald's. Get us some bread, some Kool-Aid, some this, some that. I was like, wow. They want to survive. So.
Well, we definitely do appreciate what you're doing, you know, for the community that's out there. Definitely thank you for it. The Jesus Unit Bread. We thank you for not selling out to that big corporation that wanted to shut it down. And you know, for those that are out there that maybe want to support or look at your merchandise or purchase their own Jesus Unit merchandise, tell them where they can buy your merch from.
All right. You can go to www.jesusunitclothing.net. JesusUnitClothing.net. You can follow me on Instagram, Jesus Unit Clothing. On Facebook, I'm on These My Beats on the Facebook because I make music. I'm a gospel artist. So it's TheezMyBeats. These My Beats. So it's easy to pronounce. So I thank you for having me too.
Thank you for coming. I definitely appreciate you so much. And hopefully you'll come back and come spend some time with us and tell us the next level of Jesus Unit. And hopefully, when you get your own $20 million jet, you know, just don't forget the little people there. Make sure I can come for a ride around on your jet. Is that all right? Can we do that? Can we agree to that? All right. I'm going to keep speaking that until it comes.
I receive it.
There's definitely some power in affirmations. So, Mr. Davis, thank you so much for your time. Keep rocking the Jesus Unit and keep spreading your message of love and hope for those that are out there. And that is going to be our time for today. Hopefully, again, you'll come back and be with us again.
Well, I'm going to bring you some fast stuff too.
Hey, I like it. I like it. Awesome. So that is our show. And again, audience, it doesn't matter where you go or where you'll be. Just don't forget to bring your tea, and that's total empowerment and anointing. See you next time.
Peace.
Thank you for watching our show. I hope that you're enjoying yourself. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur, spiritual leader, or organizational leader, and you're looking to be a guest on our show, please visit our website at www.TTwT.com.